What's up, everyone? This is All You Can Geek Gamescast, episode 448. I'm Mike. With me is Corey.
Yo.
And Tony.
Hello.
Yo.
What's up, guys? Jim is out today. He's in an undisclosed location with a bunch of children.
Wow, that sounds so bad, dude.
I know. I did that on purpose. Yeah, he's a chaperone right now. He's doing God's work. Anyway, so he's busy, but we're here without him, and I'll lead us into this Gamecast, the pre E3 Gamescast. And it's not even E3; it's just the stuff around it.
Right.
Yeah. Well, and we'll talk about that a little more later about what exactly E3 means anymore, or if it's just a time now. We'll talk about that later. But yeah, so we've got a few things to go through, but I guess we'll start with what we've been up to. Corey, you want to lead us off?
Yeah, sure. I mentioned last week that my goal was to beat Xenoblade Chronicles 2.
Whoa.
And I've done it. I've beaten the game. And finally beat the end boss there. So I was, I think I mentioned last week, I was a little further back than I thought. But once I did hit Chapter 9, like Chapter 9 and 10 were quick. And it probably took me a couple hours maybe. Amalthus, though, he's a character in the game that you fight towards the end there. He's such a annoying. Oh, he's so annoying. Like, he has a move that basically blocks you from doing your special moves. So like the best way to do damage is to do these like combo moves with so basically you have these different elements. You trigger an element, and then it has a tree where you kind of go down the tree to trigger the third stage of that. And then that creates an orb that goes around your enemy. And then if you trigger your combo move, I forget what they call that. But you trigger it, you can like do more damage and then like destroy this orb and then continue to do damage without them actually doing anything to you. Basically, you're in like a Matrix mode where you just like freeze the enemy and you're just destroying them. Mm-hmm. The thing is, you want to get to like 3 orbs. I'd say
at least.
Yeah. So you have to. You can't have more than one of the same element either. So you're trying to trigger these things, and like I'll get to 3 or 4, and then I can't trigger anything because I'm just like characters are dying left and right, and then my guys, I lose connectivity to them or whatever. Like the sync. The sync, yeah, and so you can't trigger these moves to get more orbs. So it's just like, it was so annoying. And he does like this move that just like kills you in one shot, essentially. So it was really quite annoying for like probably 30, 40 minutes, just going in there, dying, And it's like, oh. But finally, I was able to get like just 3. I was like, I'm just doing 3. So screw it. As soon as I hit 3 and I can get my like combo meter up, I'm just going to just do it. And I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna have enough to kill him or not, because he was about like just over 50% health. And but yeah, so I triggered and I did it. I was like, finally, I got the full bonus damage or whatever, and I killed him. So I feel like that fight was crazy and just more difficult than even the end fight. The end fight it just takes forever. This guy's got so much health at the end. But yeah, it was good, and the story, it just gets real out there. I mean, it's very Japanese in that way, but it's pretty cool, and it does give you a new game plus option, and then they also let you go back and put you into the moment right before the end.
Hey, did you talk to the father or whatever?
The architect?
Yeah. Architect. Mm-hmm. Oh, dude. I don't know if you got what they were going for, but there's a moment in that like story sequence, cutscene or whatever, which is totally just like a moment. Like, I don't know if you caught on to it.
Well, I was kind of tired when I was watching it.
Okay.
So I don't know. I wasn't really paying attention too much to it. So I don't know if I mean, there's some interesting stuff going on though. And there's there's a lot of high thinking, I guess you could say, as far as like, where this story was and the whole creation, like universe creation thing or something.
Yeah.
So I was like, I might have to like watch like
Yeah, you might have to. Yeah.
like explain this shit to me because even like
it does get super like that's the thing is like the stories always start out like, oh, it's like a typical like boy meets girl kind of trope, and then like shit happens and like, oh, all of a sudden it's like a save the world, save the universe type of deal.
Like, trying to get to this place, and then this place is not what you think it is, and everything's turned on its head. So but yeah, no, I was so more of like, I just need to beat this game. But yeah, definitely probably I'll go back and like watch a either watch the like, because you can watch the cutscenes themselves, either do that or just watch a video saying like and analyze like somebody analyzing the ending or something. But it's just a lot of fun. I definitely really enjoyed this game, and I'd probably get the DLC and play through that because some of those characters are really cool that you play as in this game, and they touch on a lot of that story in this, but you get to kind of live it through it seems like.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's really cool. I'm interested to hear your thoughts when you finally beat it, and maybe I'll tell you like what the like mind blow. Like there's seriously a moment where it's just like I was like, holy shit, like the whole thing came together. It was like we were just talking about how Game of Thrones like ended, or just like was totally terrible and like totally just entirely disappointing. This is the exact opposite, where it's like I didn't even know this was possible. Like this wasn't even on my radar of like how this thing could have went, and how this could have like made me happy, and it's just like it was so out of left field. I was just like, I literally like put my controller down and I stood up and I was just like, I was like kind of just like looking around because like, did this just happen? I can't believe it just happened. Like I was freaking out and I was trying to like talk to anybody about it because like, you know, it ties into other stuff. And I'm like, I can't talk to anybody about this. Like,
yeah. No, I mentioned I remember you mentioned something like that. And I, to be honest, I was like super tired when I got to that point. I was just like, finally. And it's like, I was not really paying attention to the architect section of it so much. Because some of these cutscenes are freaking long.
They are long.
And it's just like a lot of like jumping between like now and back then and now and back then. It's like, what's going on? How does this matter? And it's like, so it's kind of like easy to kind of tune out of it a little bit and just. But no, I definitely want to go back and kind of analyze the ending a little bit more, just because I was really more focused on just trying to beat the game than I was trying to like think about what this was. And then other than that, I did want to mention I played this game I'm going to show on video here called Deep Space D6, which is a solitaire style game, and it's essentially like FTL. If you guys know what FTL is, it's the strategy game. Computer strategy game. It's essentially that in a board game form, and it's actually a lot of fun. And so you have these dice that represent crew members, and you roll these dice to get these crew members, but then you have these threats that come out, and you have to kind of assign the crew members to basically, you know, clear the threats and the different. There's like internal threats and then external threats. So like you have ships that are attacking you, and then you have threats that are internal, like, oh no, this panel just blew off and we have to like, there's a fire. So there's like different things that happen. And then there are these threats that just are eventual, like they're just inevitable and they're going to happen. And so like they have different boards that are different ships that are kind of change the difficulty and things like that. So I was actually pretty impressed with it. And I was looking forward to playing it for a while. I just never got around to it. So I got a chance to do it. And I definitely recommend if you're into board games and dice rolling, and again, this is a solo game, so it's not like you're playing with other people. You can just play this anytime, and it's quick setup, maybe 30 seconds to set up. So that's what I've been up to.
All right, Tony, how about you?
Let's see, mostly still League of Legends. This Battle Pass thing is over in about a week, and I don't think I'll ever do it again because it's one of those things where, like, because I bought it, I feel like I need to get like my money's worth because like there's a super ultra rare skin that you can get if you like play like a shit ton, and I'm just like never again. Like if I really want it, I'll just spend the money. I'll fucking just spend the money because like it's one of the things where like I need to grind this shit out like literally every day. I need to make sure I'm grinding at least X amount of tokens every day.
So is it a skin that you could buy though?
Not directly. It's one of those things where it's like you have to buy orbs and you get bonus tokens for all the orbs you buy. So it's like whatever. It's like I think $50 if you bought it like in transaction amounts or something like that. I mean, it's good. It's not even like I really care, but I was just like, oh well, I'll just get the battle pass. How hard could it be? And I was like, wait, I did the math. I was like, this is actually really hard. Stuff like that. So lesson learned on that part. But I pick up Sekiro again because
Cool.
I've been
New Game
playing-
Plus or
No. I never beat it. I just
you haven't started. Okay.
I beat the one of the first major bosses in the game. And I was like, all right, like that was challenging. I need to just like give this a break right now and like come back to it.
Mhm.
So I get back to it. Only played for like 5 minutes, and it's like, oh look, another boss, and it's like, oh okay, and this boss beat my balls in like so hard.
Ouch.
Like it took me 3 hours before I finally fucking beat this boss. It was so ridiculous, and it was the point where like I was just like, because there's like multiple phases, so it's like, and this one was only 2 phases, but by the time I got to the second phase. And the thing is, if you die, like you have to start back at phase 1. It was to the point where like I was so focused on phase 2 that I couldn't get through phase 1 a lot of the time anymore.
Oh yeah.
And it's super frustrating because you're like, I was like nailing it. I was acing this. I had all his patterns down and shit like that. And like you just get sloppy. You make one mistake and it's just like, fuck it. Like just fucking take me now. Like fucking get it over with. Because like I need like full potions or at least as many potions as I can for the second phase of the fight. Like I can't be wasting on the first phase. It's just like you get impatient. You like get like a 4th attack in instead of stopping at 3. And I'm just like, oh my god! And when I beat it, I was just like, fuck you! I literally shouted, "Fuck you!" on my team. I was like, "Fuck you!" I was like so frustrated, but it was well earned.
It was a satisfying ending there.
Oh no, it was. I mean, you definitely feel that sense of accomplishment at the same time. Just like, god damn! Like, it's just. I never struggled that badly with any of the
achievement bosses. For it.
Oh yeah, you definitely get an achievement for it. It's again one of those like I don't know 40%.
I do have to say like I do appreciate like the achievement aspect because with Xenoblade just go back like there are no achievements. I like when I beat Malthus, I'm like fuck that guy. Like I want like a little trophy that shows like I beat this dude.
Yeah.
Need some human validation.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
So, I'm curious to see if Jim has played it since then and what he is.
God, I don't know about that. I can't even think of anything on that level of difficulty I might have done. The closest thing might have been to fight and beat all the Valkyries in God of War.
Yeah, I mean they can get pretty tough.
Yeah, it's the closest thing I can think of. But anyway, is that it, Tony?
Yep.
Okay. For me, I just played some more. Mortal Kombat 11, yeah. Little just added to the grind and played some online. Nothing really new. So that's about it. So we'll get into the news then.
I feel like we need a little jingle or something, just like or something.
A news jingle, like Eyewitness News or something.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, we don't have that. So instead, we'll just go right in. So E3 is coming soon, and almost everything we're seeing is kind of a leak or a hint or an advertisement for an announcement or an announcement of an announcement that we're getting here.
That's the popular thing. It's a teaser for an announcement.
But I guess we'll start with one thing that isn't, and that is that Anthem's Twitter is also dying or dead for a month. Who posted this one?
Not I.
Might have been Jim.
Might have been Jim. All right, I'll look at it real quick.
I mean, when you think about it, it's Anthem. They push their roadmap, which like
that's murder.
Back.
That's the thing, and it's the same thing that got me with Andromeda. It launched and it was kind of bad, but it was salvageable, I thought. If they just supported it, if they did what they said they would do within the game, which obviously
like you come out, you stumble a little bit, but you stick to it and you make it better.
Yeah, and if you committed to it and improved upon it, it would have been better. But again, ever since they just are like, oh, remember our roadmap? Yeah, that's not going to happen like that. That was like the death knell for this, the death blow for this game. I think you can't like if anyone invested through all of the issues, that would be what would make them just quit. And I think that's what happened. And I guess on Twitter they also aren't even updating anymore. They're just
gone silent,
focusing elsewhere or something. So I can't really.
Here's one of my bold predictions down the drain. And
which was your bold prediction?
My bold prediction was Anthem would be successful.
Oh, that was bold.
Yeah,
that's what I said. It was bold because there was no we all were talking about how this game just looks like it's set up to fail, and so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna make a prediction that is not, and yeah, well,
I was kind of hoping it would be like mediocre and like just limp along and like sort of get better as time went on. But if they're not gonna support it in a timely fashion,
no, I mean
it's not gonna happen.
This stuff's coming out, like Borderlands, probably more Destiny, Division 2 is doing great. Like there are things that are just in that style of looter shooters that you're just gonna get more out of no matter what. Like these guys, it's over for them. You can't come back from this now.
Not unless they surprise someone with like a major announcement, new updated roadmap with more shit. Yeah, I doubt it.
And this thing is like these bunch of free-to-play games are just gonna kill it too.
In a way, even Apex Legends is killing it.
Dauntless just got released out of beta too. That's killing it.
Okay, so here, anyone have anything else to say about that? I think that's.
I don't think they have anything else to say about it.
No, they won't. So file this an announcement of an announcement here. We've got Kojima sharing new Death Stranding teaser, more coming May 29th. Who does anyone know anything more about this?
So when you guys are listening to this, you'll know about this, I suppose.
Yeah. So Death Stranding is still happening and still coming. More info.
Do you think we get a release date?
I think they'll wait for actual E3 for that.
They're not at E3.
Oh, that period of time.
So they're gonna announce an announcement that's
probably. Yeah, probably.
I mean, see, this is the thing. Again, like we'll get into it or we could do it now, and it doesn't really matter. But yeah, E3 doesn't, as an actual physical event, doesn't mean as much as it used to. But it's still the time where all these companies are sort of geared up to make big announcements and reveals. So even if they're not there, even if they control it with their own sort of video or event, they'll do something probably. So yeah.
As far as this news though, I don't. Thing is, it's so like such non-news. Like it's news that's non-news because it doesn't matter. Because like, oh well, hey, get ready for this day. Okay.
Well, yeah, but
that day comes and you're like, well, here's what we have to show you. It's coming out in November or something. Like, okay, why couldn't you just said that 2 days ago when you made this teaser announcement?
Well, the thing about this game though is there's so much that's still kind of unknown. Like you don't really know what type of gameplay this is. I mean, we saw something that looked like gameplay, but it's hard to tell what was even happening.
It's like Fetch Quest the simulator. Apparently, it looks like.
So we could get a bit more, I think, clarification about what type of game this really is. But for me, it's so like out there right now. Like obviously, like I liked MGS5 while it was like the completed parts of it. Mm-hmm. So I would be interested in this if I knew what it was, but because it's so abstract, I can't feel that excited about it yet because I don't know what it is. Like I don't know. Are you guys there too with this?
No, exactly. It's just it exists, and I'll wait for it to come out.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, tech specs. So it's just cool. You can talk about it all you want. I'm like, yep.
Yeah. Okay. So now, actual announcement about an E3 announcement is that the Xbox's E3 press conference could be its longest yet.
Yeah. Rumor, and I've heard, is that Microsoft's going all out, and they had two choices where it was basically either like, just, let a couple bits of information out and then just say, more information in the future. Or, we're just going to blow our load right now and try to get the positive momentum ahead of Sony. And that's the one that they went with.
Well, so, considering Sony's not there.
Right, exactly.
It makes sense, yeah.
Exactly. I mean, the stage is kind of theirs,
Mm-hmm.
The literal stage, but the worldwide stage? We don't know. Because, again, now we also have leaks about PS5 coming out now. Or maybe not even leaks. I don't know what this is. It's just an information. Yeah. And they're saying PS5 GPU will use brand new RDNA architecture developed by AMD. Any more info on that?
Not that I don't know much about it. I just know I thought it was kind of funny that the original release announcement of this stuff kind of it seems so random. And apparently that's due because the publisher, whoever it was, PC World, I forget who put it out. They were like, we have this story, we're gonna run it. We can either run it as a non-official thing, or we can do it as an official thing with you guys. And so I was like, oh, let's just do it. Let's do it together.
Yeah.
That was kind of funny. So like that now, seeing more stuff come out makes sense. I mean, it's all out there, I'm sure. So it's still gonna start, dripping info as we get closer.
Yeah, and the other thing was that they expected PS5 that to fully support cross-generation play, which I think should be expected at this point, but it's still a story, I guess.
No, I think they confirmed it.
They confirmed. I mean, it has. They definitely confirmed about it because they talked about how you can play online with someone on PS5 and PS4 playing the same game together. So if you have I don't know, Madden on the PS5 and you have Madden on the PS4 and you can play it together.
All right. I mean, it's definitely a good thing because I think the install base is there for the PlayStation 4, obviously.
Yeah, we talked about this before. With you can't have your Fortnite shit not on your new system.
Mm-hmm. It'll be very interesting to see how this actually works in practice because we haven't really had a new generation fully embraced from the get-go the whole backwards compatible aspects to the point where you can even play online together on separate systems. So we shall see. I hope all these promises come to pass though, because otherwise it becomes an inconvenience that there's a new generation.
Yeah. I mean, generations are kind of over, in my opinion. I think.
And more I mean, it's like the phones. You're going to get incremental.
Yeah, that's what I said. You're just going to get these incremental things. It'll be better, but how much better?
Yeah. I guess this will be the first real test to that.
Yeah.
And then what else is here? It's Nintendo news about just Nintendo not being that great at online stuff as usual. Online play in Super Mario Maker 2 limited to randoms only. Jim posted this. I think he just wanted to take a shot at Nintendo and see what you would say, Tony. So what do you have to say?
I mean, it was kind of so apparently Mario Maker 2, so the gimmick, but one of the things of Mario Maker 2 features. Is that it's not just features. It's not just single player Mario. You can do up to 4 players, like the U series or the new series. But for some reason, if we all have the copies of this game, we can't play 4-player online together. If we're friends, you can only be done via random matchmaking with random people on the internet, which I admit is pretty fucking dumb. I don't understand the logistics behind it.
You want to make levels,
right?
You're
exactly.
You want to collaborate with people that.
And so I mean, it's so absurd that I kind of don't believe it, or I just think it's maybe one of those things that they couldn't get finished by the release date, and it's just going to come down in a content update free patch or something like that. But I mean, I don't know. There's such outrage culture these days where all these people are like, oh, canceling the pre-order, and I'm fucking glad I paid $20 for my Nintendo Online. I'm just like, yeah, it's stupid and it's shitty, but really, you're gonna this is the hill you want to die on. Okay, I mean, to each your own. Okay, I get it. So yeah, it's stupid. I shrug my shoulders. I mean, don't get me wrong, it would be cool to play, 4-player online, but
that has to be coming. I mean, to be able to play with your friends online, that. I mean, that has to be coming, right?
You would think, it's just so weird.
You should be able to add that later on.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, I don't see it as not coming. I just view it as not at launch, and that's fine. And even if it doesn't, the main appeal of it is building your level
local, right? Local.
Yeah, and local. You could do local 4-player. I mean, honestly, to me, there's some games where local is always better, and stuff like that. Smash Brothers and Mario Party. I'd like to be able to play those games online, but it's just not the same feel as being on the couch or in the same room and just having that good last. I understand not everybody's in that situation. We're all older, and those times are less frequent. But it's what it is. What it is. But people want to get outraged, and they're allowed to. That's fine. Good. But I'm not gonna
No.
It sucks, I admit, but I'm not going to be like up in arms or whatever about it.
Mhm. All right. Just another story I just see here. I'm curious what you think, if you care at all, Corey. But it is about Borderlands. Their studio exec, John Vignacci, I would say is how you say his name. He left Gearbox after less than a year for his dream job. Do you know him or care about him at all?
I don't recognize the name. I mean,
Okay.
thing is, like Randy Pitchford is the face and the name of this, and like I know there
Mhm.
was a couple people before that, with Borderlands 2, but as far as Borderlands 3 goes, I'm not too.
Do you worry that this is Pitchford related?
I mean, people move around in video games all the time.
Sure.
Developers, so to this one little thing, I don't see it being that. Like, what was his position?
He was a studio exec. I don't know if that's not that specific.
So yeah, I don't know. It could be anything. I don't see. I'm not reading into it at all.
He's a publishing boss. He's a veteran. Whatever. Yeah, I don't know. It's just there does seem to be a little bit of smoke around Pitchford lately, more than
I mean,
there's
there is a
been in the
rumor
past.
that I would like to, because I actually had this in my predictions, but now it's coming out. Like, it seems like it's pretty much sure thing. Is that Borderlands 2 is going to get DLC during E3? Uh, that's going to bridge 2 to 3. I think that's
Really?
pretty cool. Yeah. So the
Like,
rumor
is
is
this confirmed or like heavily?
So
it's
will that?
heavily rumored right now. There's like people have like data mined Steam's database for this stuff, and there was like these mystery updates that people didn't know what they were, and then they found all these files.
Oh yeah, I think I saw something on one of the air.
So yeah, that's like basically it's called Commander Lilith and the fight for Sanctuary, and they say it's going to be releasing. I mean, this is the rumor, and obviously it's like probably on the 80% like legit side of things right now. And they say it's releasing during E3, and it's going to bridge Borderlands 2 to Borderlands 3, and I think that's really cool. I mean, this game
Now,
is
is Borderlands 2 also the part of that like remaster they just released?
well, they did the remaster for 1, but
Yeah.
Borderlands 2, they kind of remastered already, and they
Okay.
just dropped ultra 4K assets in for free. Yeah, and so this is freaking awesome. Like you get like DLC for a game that's like 6 years old, and it's really cool. So I'm excited to see if it's real and what this is actually going to be. But that's cool. Like, they're giving players something to do in Borderlands and keep the Borderlands train rolling and the hype rolling through the summer until this game's released.
Cool. All right. Anyone find any other news we want to talk about at all?
Some breaking news is happening. The Pokemon Company is doing their press conference right now. Not to be confused with the actual Pokemon Direct later on in this week.
I was gonna say that isn't that June 5th?
Right. That's its own thing for the Sword and Shield. This is just their company press conference. Mm-hmm. So they started off by announcing a new Detective Pikachu gaming coming out for Switch, and I'm just like I get it, but like
movie time.
Couldn't have this out for the movie, like
yeah. Well, really? I mean, at the same time, like I'd rather have like a movie tie-in game that's good and not,
Yeah. I mean, like GoldenEye was what, like 2 years after the movie?
Yeah.
And there's that Wolverine game that came out way later.
Was that way later? I don't think it was. I think that was in time.
Okay. I always thought maybe just
no. It's because originally they were developing it. They were developing it independently of the fact that it was a movie coming out, and then they just shoehorned it afterwards.
Mm-hmm. I do see this other thing where Witcher 3 is coming to Switch, apparently.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know if that type of game lends itself to that so much, but people like it. So
RPGs are fantastic because you can just relax. Like Xenoblade, I spent 90 hours in.
All right. All right. So I guess our topic is now E3 again is coming up, but we're not going to do our full predictions yet, but we are going to talk about how relevant it is as an event, or at least at the time of year, or should this even be a big time for all these reveals, or do we not even expect much anymore? So
No, I mean that's a valid point though, Mike, because you do like throughout the year you kind of have to release stuff and like tease things, and we get these other events that come out. You know, we do have other game shows as well. You know, Tokyo Game Show and the one in Germany, Gamescom. Thank you, and even
PAX.
Even the Game Awards now.
Yeah, and Game Awards. So as far as announcements go, like I don't necessarily think it's the end all be all as it used to be, but I do appreciate the fact that E3, you know that E3 is coming, and you're going to get a gluttony of news and updates and different things. So I really like that aspect that, like, hey, this time of year, you know, we're going to come together as an industry and give you something that's going to make you excited for what's to come and get you excited for the future of gaming. Because yes, you get that throughout the year, but like it's nice to have something to look forward to and know it's going to happen on an annual basis as well.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think it's like I predicted the death or downfall of E3 for, I don't know, 4 years at least, maybe 5. I mean, I don't know, a long time. And fortunately or unfortunately, depending on your point of view, it has seemingly come to fruition, or at least closer to complete fruition. It's just one of the things that, at least the way it was for many years, is just that style of presentation, that style of delivering information is so out of date. Because again, like before the internet, you know, it was all press magazines. So you had, like, literally, if you wanted the news, you had to go there. And you had to go there and you had to play these games, and then you had to write up articles that wouldn't be in magazines for like another month or so. So, you know, it was understood. Now in the era, and even in the early days of the internet, the infrastructure just wasn't there to share like content, you know, in such an easily consumable way. But now with broadband, high-speed internet, streaming, there's no reason for these companies to not disseminate that information to the public, which again, just, I mean, further circulates even into like the gaming journalism portion of the industry. Like, do we really need them to play games or what? Because, you know, what are they doing that we're not seeing? But I still think it's relevant to have the industry there together in a conference and to talk and, you know, make deals behind back rooms. As shady as that sounds, I think it's a good thing, because, you know, that's how a lot of these things happen, where, you know, a company will stop by another booth, be like, wow, this looks really interesting, and they'll talk about it and, you know, maybe get an exclusive or a port.
That's how Tales from Borderlands came to be.
Right, exactly. So, I mean, even like, you know, it's funny, we were talking about Witcher, how like Witcher 1, there's like these funny pictures you could find online about how like CD VR had like this small dinky little room with like one TV with one like PC that was running Witcher 1, and like they had to kind of like beg people to come and play this fucking game. And you look, and not like what, like not even a decade later, they're like, you know, one of the biggest third parties in Europe. You know, it's and most prestigious, of course. So it's really ridiculous that, you know, just think about like, you know, you kind of need to build it. But for the more established companies, like, you know, the big three, obviously. Well, I mean, what's the point? Because, you know, the first step was when Nintendo kind of bowed out. They're like, hey, you know, like, we don't need to do these giant pressers on stage, right? Because like, you have to get these personalities that most likely were not trained to speak in public, or you have the people that are trained to speak publicly but don't know anything about the game because they didn't work on the game, they didn't develop the game. Not to mention shit that goes wrong with the shows. Like, I mean, anytime with the Kinect, the infamous Wii Skyward Sword thing, where like, you know, it was messing with the infrared sensors and stuff like that and making the demo look really bad. It's like, why do that? And all the money that you invest in that, why not just do the, you know, these
controlled environment?
Right, controlled environment. You control it. You can practice. You can rehearse. You can present the information of whatever method that you want to portray it in. And then for a deeper dive, you can just have people streaming, and that's what they do with Treehouse Live. And I knew it was just a matter of time until all these other companies started doing it. Now you see Sony and Microsoft, they both have their own shows. They both do their own things right now. I mean, what the Sony, was it Days of Play or whatever? Like, where they literally just do these like mini direct things. And it's
State of Play.
State of Play. I'm sorry. Thank you. or just like it's literally the same exact style of presentation, not like it's original or anything, but it's like snippets of gameplay, tagline, coming whatever, moving on to the next game. It's just like it's the formula, but it works because they found that way to do it. And you can see now Sony isn't in it this year, so it's like, well, I mean, what more is left? I mean, I don't even think EA is there this year, right? Where's Activision?
I think Activision is not there. I think EA has got a conference, but not as far as like your point is like them not doing the shows and and obviously having the controlled environment's very important for these companies to make themselves look good, and because you can have those infamous moments where things just break and it doesn't look right, and you have to restart the demo or something, crazy stuff like that. But that's kind of the charm that I like, I really like that aspect of it. And it's kind of, for me, I'm a little saddened that we don't get these conferences more, I like the conference style of it. I like to see someone on stage presenting stuff and like doing the thing.
I never watched that part of any of these things.
You like them
I mean, I like to see like the things that can go right and things can go wrong.
You just wanted the spectacle portion.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's the whole point. And like and you get the moments where like with Mario and Rabbids, you get to like put the camera on the guy and see him how emotional he is. And
no, I mean, there's definitely
have that. Like every once in a while, you get some nice moments like that. And I think that's nice where things are live and like you get these moments that's because of the live aspect of it.
You could do that. I mean, there's also the idea that it could be a virtual space in the future. Maybe you could have like E3 day where everyone streams at the same time live, but they're not in the same location. So they all have their own things going. Maybe like to one event area, but they're not actually there. Like I could picture that being a way to make it continue. Because to me, like it's more of the time that I value. That it's a collaboration that like the industry decides they all want to reveal stuff during this time, and it's a time that needs it honestly because nothing really happens during this time of year game wise. Otherwise, like nothing interesting is being released for like the next like few months. So it's a good time to get your appetite whetted for like, the fall and going forward for the next year. So, and I do think these companies are sort of conditioned to have their big reveals during this time of year still, even if they're not necessarily going to this event and like presenting stuff to the press with like some dude who doesn't know what he's doing every time, which it's never really made too much sense to me in the first place. Like I always just looked for the videos afterwards of like what actually was revealed. I don't really care about, Miyamoto flailing with the controller that doesn't work. So I mean, it's funny, I guess, if it goes wrong like that, but
yeah,
I don't need that. I'm here to see like what these companies have, but I do like the idea of them being sort of constrained to one like big day, like a bigger day than maybe the other ones. Like I don't know if that's going to continue. That's what I'm a little worried about with the sort of fracturing of it and everyone doing their own thing. That some like you're expecting sort of something, the big guns from like everyone during this one time, and now going forward, now we might get some people just being like, yeah, there's like some DLC for an existing game. That's it. They might not do as much as they were sort of, but felt like they might. Then again, that's also how you get those sort of like false trailers and overhype where they announce something way before it's ready. So there's a double side to it too. From the consumer standpoint, I want to be excited by things now because again, nothing's coming out for a little while. So I like the idea of having a day like a video game reveal day pretty much. So if there can be an E3 day going forward, like that'd be cool without it having to actually be like a press event in a specific
they also open this up to the public now. So like
yes, I know, and it's going to be more like PAX going forward. I'm sure it might even completely go back to being just like a consumer event more than a press event. But I don't know. Did you guys think that that's possible? That the time of year can still be the big reveal time for every company, or will that go away too as the actual event becomes less important?
I don't know. I mean, the thing is, back in the day, again, when it was pretty much for the industry and just the industry. I mean, originally E3 was pitched as a show where, you pitch your products that were launching later that year to people that were representatives of these companies that would buy your product for the companies that they represented, like, Toys R Us, Macy's, Sears, Walmart, whatever. That was originally the goal of E3, where like, hey, look, we got this coming out. And then just over the years, it developed into this like razzle dazzle spectacle show, for the consumers and stuff like that, which, is good in a way. But, really June, this June area is like the perfect time where like they can get feedback, they can get impressions, they can go back to the companies and say, hey, well, we think we need like X million copies of this game, Y million copies of this game during the holiday season. So we need to order it soon so that they, the retailers will have time, or the companies will have time to, make the discs or cartridges, print them, ship them, get them to warehouses and then into our distribution centers, et cetera, et cetera. Because there's logistics behind it. And really, if you think about it, from June to like the beginning of the holiday season, it's only like 4 months, really. Like it's a short turnaround time. But again, we're so far removed from that where like all that shit takes place behind, back doors now. It's just, I think it's just mostly out of tradition. It's still in the June area because, like, again, unless you're launching a system and they want to, be like, hey, here's our new system available in like 5 months, which I just don't see them doing anymore. Like Microsoft is probably essentially doing it this year, but I can't imagine that Sony is waiting until E3 next year to unveil the PlayStation 4, right?
No, I mean, they're going to do their own thing for that. I mean, they've already unveiled it. It exists as a thing. So it's like they'll do their own special thing for it. And who knows when it's going to be. But as far as like we mentioned earlier, I do like, the industry coming together for this event, this a couple days just to kind of share what's coming up, get people excited for the future. And who knows, and make deals, and partnerships and things like that. So I like that idea. And like you mentioned, Mike, it's good timing for the consumer because we're not really doing much right now because the emphasis on getting games out and doing that, so it's just not there during the summer. So we don't have much to do. Until we get there.
And as the Game Awards, which I believe are in December, right? They becomes more of another like, important time of year. This is like, exactly 6 months away from that kind of.
Right.
So I think it does work out well that way. But again, I don't want companies to also be forced to like sell you false hype or misinformation during a time as well, which has always been an issue with E3 too. So that's the other end of it.
Well, I mean, whenever you announce something and it's not ready, things can change anytime. So we've seen it so many times before.
Anything else anyone has to say about this?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's exciting, but at the same time, like there's so many conferences, all these companies do their own direct events anyway, because again, it just comes back to like, why would you, like, if you're working on a product that you're like, this needs to be the next big thing, why would you want to risk showing it off where you could easily get outstaged or outclassed just because, there's all these other games, it's like, why not control your own event, stuff like that. So
yeah, there's definitely advantages to that. But at the same time, it's also nice to be able to be a part of something big like this. It's like, well, here's all the announced trailers. You can just kind of go through them and like, I mean, so there's ups and downs, but obviously there's advantages and disadvantages. But what I was to say is like sometimes things are just not ready, and E3's around, so like you can't.
Well, yeah, I mean, the other thing is, it kind of pisses me off. We didn't talk about it, but like what pisses me off a lot is when the companies create a specific demo for E3, which is not representative of the final game. And I say it all the time. Like, perfect example was Anthem or No Man's Sky. Both times I saw that first trailer, I was like, bullshit. I said, fuck bullshit. Like, there's no way in hell the final game is going to be representative of that. 0% chance. And I was right.
Yeah, those and Jim gets real mad about those trailers too. Too bad
now he does, because after I pointed out,
like proven wrong so many times. That's funny.
I feel bad in a way because I'm like, hey Jim, remember? Remember this? Yeah. It's like, oh god.
So all that being said, this E3. Now we won't go into specifics, but do we expect there to be like big announcements during not even necessarily the E3, but I mean like everything around that, like those few days. Do
No,
we expect big announcements from this,
yeah.
or do we think it'll be less than last year? Last year, what?
I
Not much
don't think
happened
it can
or
be
anything.
less when you know there's like new consoles imminent, and so there's no way it's gonna be less. There's
So, but
definitely
so you're saying though you fully expect like Xbox to do their thing at E3 and Sony to reveal more information separately during the same time. You fully expect
I
that?
think Sony. I do think Sony's gonna do something. I'll talk more about my predictions in the in next week's podcast. You know, we'll get more specifics, but I think Sony's gonna have some presence during this time of year, and Xbox is gonna go, like mentioned earlier, it's like they're gonna blow their load here with this E3 announcement and give you everything that you think that they can without lying essentially. And
Maybe with that.
we'll get some yeah, well, yeah, absolutely. We're gonna hear things that never come to be, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. But I mean, like, so perfect example is right now, actually. So that this Pokemon 29 press conference going on right now, that's 131,000 viewers at 9:30 p.m. Eastern time on a fucking Tuesday night. Like, that's ridiculous numbers. I mean, it's just like they're just talking about these Pokemon shit. One of the other things they just announced was Pokemon Sleep, where like you get a device that looks like a Pokeball that like
looks like a Snorlax or what?
No, yeah, well, they made a joke. They're like, we tested with multiple Snorlaxes to make sure it's effective, but like it somehow tracks your sleep and tells you like judges you on like how good quality of sleep you
I know
got.
you got like that phone
Pretty
apps
creepy
and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm like, what the fuck? Like, okay, like I just want my Pokemon Snap. Like that's what I'm waiting for. Is that?
That's right.
But yeah.
Pokemon that watch you while you sleep.
Yep. Pokemon Go sleep.
Yeah. So I guess this year we will probably get a decent amount of stuff because of the looming consoles. I am curious about certain games that have been in limbo for a while, but we'll get into more details later.
Next week.
Yep.
Next week we're doing predictions full on.
Yeah. I mean, and again, we're glad about it at least being something of a cohesive event because we get to predict and have a little fun with it.
Plus Jim will be back too. So.
That's right. Yes, we all miss Jim dearly. All right. I think that wraps it up, guys. So you can email us at podcast@allyoucangeek.net. You can see us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, all that stuff. Leave a like, subscribe, do that stuff too. Watch us on YouTube. No one does. Do it. Share us. Tell your friends. See how bad my lighting is. Understand what they're talking about.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So that's it. We'll see you next week for some E3 predictions.